So, all the lines were recorded and the script were made before any of the commentaries on YouTube made about me. So, all the problems that they stated in those videos, yeah, sorry, they will be in this video. I'm so sorry. Anyways, wait, 58 games I played in 2020? What the hell am I spending my life? Gee, 2020 went by so fast, and for the better. 2020 has definitely been a year. The year that has been rough for every one of us, especially when it came to the pandemic. 2020 was pretty divisive for me when it came to my social life, and while this year has been a really weird year for gaming, especially with games like The Last of Us Part 2 and Cyberpunk 2077 being the most overhyped and disappointing games of the whole year, but overall, 2020 has actually been the best year of my gaming experience. When I first play a video game, I usually first play around 5, 10, 15, or 20 games a year. But this year, I played a grand total of 58 games, which is super insane. And as you can tell by the title, this list will be split into multiple parts, starting off with the games I hated this year. The only rule to this list are no demos, because what I learned from Metafile27 2nd is that you shouldn't judge the entire game just because I played the demo. So, Final Fantasy XIII Lightning Returns is not gonna be on this list. Anyways, I believe we shall get started on this long as hell list.
Boss, you only need one snake. No. The world would be better off without snakes.
Why did I even play this? Now when you think about it, E.T. has a really cool concept. It's based on the Steven Spielberg film when E.T. crash lands on the planet sector PNF 404, which is our sector trying to find pieces of a phone so that the little alien can call his home planet. If the gameplay didn't suffer, caused the crash in 1983 and killed Atari. Not only do you have to watch out for the fuzz, but you also gotta watch out for the numbers on the bottom of the screen. The numbers determine how much energy you have. Get to 0 and you know what happens. Phone pieces are found in potholes that you can go in and collect, but you gotta get out of them in time because otherwise you'll fall immediately back into the hole. The game was also made in 6 weeks by one man that Atari told to rush to make the Christmas deadline. Now, I don't hate Howard Scott Warshaw because he was under so much stress and pressure that the company had to put him through. Spending Christmas with families I don't have a grudge against. No, it's one of the greatest times of the year in my opinion, but rushing the man to create a game in 6 weeks is absolutely ludicrous. Games take about a few months or a year to complete, so rushing one man to create a game in a month and 2 weeks is just absolutely dumb and stupid. Especially for Atari since cartridges were dug in the New Mexico desert until found a crap ton of years later. And was the catalyst to Atari's disastrous downfall. It's no wonder E.T. is known as the worst game of all time by many, and it's the worst game I played this year. If only we had E.T. biking to the moon, it would have actually been incredible to see.
Okay.
I know this is gonna tick off fans of the Brothers in Arms series, but I'm not a fan of Road to Hill 30. To me, Road to Hill 30 is my least favorite first-person shooter because I just couldn't get into it like everyone else did. Now, I understand that this is the first game in the series, so I will let that slide, but this was a letdown. To me, Brothers in Arms did nothing to make it different from its Brothers in Arms, Medal of Honor, and Call of Duty PS2 trilogy. Pun intended. When I first played the first mission of the game, I immediately turned it down halfway on mission 2 because the first mission of the game is a Forest Lost mission. One of the most overused video game cliches of all time. Now, the beginning of the second mission is actually not that bad due to Baker's exposition about him being the leader of 13 men. But playing the second mission is what made me turn off the game because I got so bored I never played it again after that. The characters are unmemorable as well, with the only ones I remember being Baker and Mac, while others I don't. Brothers in Arms Road to Hell 30 is literally the most boring game I have ever played and is my least favorite PlayStation 2 game and my least favorite first-person shooter of all time.
Hello, je suis American. Americans, what town is this?
I honest to God can't freaking believe I forgot to put this game on my top 10 least favorite games list. It's one of the worst games on the Nintendo Switch and could quite possibly be the worst game in the series. The Elder Scrolls Blades. Now, you may think it may be cheating to put a mobile game on the list, but much like with Angry Birds, since Blades has been ported to a console in 2020, I'm allowed to put it on the list if it's not a mobile exclusive. In fact, the mobile version was released 2 days before the Switch version, and Elder Scrolls Blades is easily the worst Nintendo Switch game I have ever played, and somehow the game is less immersive on Switch than on phones and tablets. I stopped playing after 5 minutes, and I know it's sorta weird, but I just couldn't connect with it much like everyone else. Blades suck mostly due to the level design and combat. In the Elder Scrolls series, you have a free roaming world that you can go ahead, find weapons, and slay many monsters. But Blades has no overworld, making it more into a linear level design, so the free roaming is gone. I'll give Final Fantasy XIII credit because despite the game being very linear, there's at least one area in the game where it's free roaming, which is the best part of the game. The combat has been dumped down a whole lot. Considering the Elder Scrolls series is an RPG, you level up and attack monsters, but the same can't be said for Elder Scrolls Blades. Blades' combat system has a lock-on system, so even if you encounter multiple enemies, you attack one at a time. I get that the Switch version is a port of the mobile version, but Bethesda should have at least improved on some features because Blades on Switch is even worse. This is the only game in the Elder Scrolls series I played so far, and this was a terrible introduction and a big disappointment. Because when I saw this game was free to download, I wanted to give the series a shot, and from what I've heard, the previous games in this series, Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim are far better games in this series, but we'll see when I get to playing with them. Warning, the following footage in this segment contains disturbing footage and violence that isn't suitable for younger audiences. I've said it in some of my previous countdowns that I'm not a big fan of sports games. The same can also be said for horror games. For the record, I've only played one horror game, but the thing about horror games for me is that I get too easily frightened. And speaking of that one horror game, it is on this list, and sadly, it's known as one of the worst horror games of all time. The PS3 and Xbox 360 downloadable game, Amy. I give a bad reputation this game gets, and I mean a lot of bad reputation. Lots of 2s and 3s with some 1s and 4s. And Amy is regarded as one of the worst games ever. I inevitably agree with what they say because this is truly one of the worst games I've ever played. Before I played this, I thought this game was going to be worse than Road to Hell 30 and Elder Scrolls Blades, but this game isn't as bad as those in my honest opinion. So the story of the game revolves around the main protagonist Lana getting an autistic silent girl called Amy to a doctor in Silver City by train. However, an explosion occurred outside Lana's friend's window, and Lana saw the explosion from the train window. The train crashes, we lose Amy, we meet a man to help find her, and this is where the game begins to absolutely suck. So how should we say this? Do puzzles! The puzzles are by far the worst aspect of this game so far. I hadn't completed the first puzzle on my first sitting, which made me rage quit until my second sitting, but I finally managed to beat the first damn chapter. If you guys know me well, I hate puzzle segments, and Amy does this a crap ton of a lot. If there's one thing I can praise about this game is that Lana is actually not a bad protagonist. The game may say Amy, but Lana is the true main character. You're supposed to escort Amy for zombification, and Amy is immune to zombification, and Amy has an ability to heal you right up. I know I've only gone through not much of a playthrough, but I'm just about done. This was the one game I bought just to trash on. I have never done that with a video game before. Okay, maybe not entirely true, but I agree with everyone. Amy is one of the worst video games ever made. I want my $5 back. Too bad I can't. I implore you, if you see this game on the PS3's PlayStation Store, do not buy this game. Your $5 would be an effortless waste of time with poor camera controls and one of the worst rip-offs of Resident Evil 4's Ashley Graham escort mission. In fact, buy any good survival horror game. Resident Evil 4, Silent Hill 2, Parasite Eve, but stay the ever-loving hell away from this game.
What was that?
Did you see it?
I saw an explosion from my window. Near the Phoenix Center.
Get ready for a lot of cringe in this segment. Mario Brothers, one of the most addicting yet underrated Mario games of all time when you're in the sewers with your brother Luigi, stopping Bowser's army. Even if it was remade on the Atari 2600, it would have been one of the most agonizing games on the system with its terrible graphics, which hasn't changed from the Atari 2600 engine, which, much like with every game on the system, level designs that look like someone made on Windows Paint, and a character model of Mario that looks like a redesign from 1972. Even very unmemorable music with little to no music at all. But if someone did play Mario Bros on the Atari 2600 in 2020, it would have definitely been on one of the lowest spots of all the games they first played in 2020. Does that sound like a good idea to you? No, it doesn't. So yeah, screw this game, it is the worst Mario game I have ever played. How many times am I gonna keep repeating games I dislike? For example, Mega Man X2. Okay, yeah, X2 was a disappointing gift for my birthday and it was a step down from the first game, but let me get this straight. I'm not a blind hater. In all honesty, I love the 16-bit graphics, the story kept me entertained from time to time, and some stages are pretty fun if a bit difficult. And this is one of the biggest problems of the game, the many changes of difficulty. Now, I don't want to be redundant by repeating myself, but considering how many of you guys watch my videos, it seems as though I have to do it. X2 is both easy and hard at the same time. What I mean by that is that the health bar doesn't go down much before encountering the mini-bosses and Mavericks, so you'll quite possibly reach them at about 1/3 possible. There are also platforming sections where you need perfect execution timing, because if you don't, your reward is the ticket towards the light, such as wall jumping on missiles or wall jumping on walls closing in. Some Mavericks are absolutely challenging, much like with any boss in the entire Mega Man series, not just the X series. But X2 is one of the worst offenders, like Wheelgator with hiding in the sewer water and reappearing, Overdrive Ostrich with its hiding in the background and raining feathers, and Alpha Pyribbit from Kirby Triple Deluxe was even worse with that aspect, and Crystal Snail with its freaking slowdown ability.
I hate it!
The music isn't fantastic either. Either I don't remember or they are just too annoying to listen to. Before I end this segment, I'll just say this one last time. I'm not a blind hater. There are things I compliment about X2, but that doesn't stop it from being one of the worst games I've ever played this year and one of the most disappointing games I have ever played, period. Now, you may have noticed from the Atari 2600 version of Mario Bros. Segment that I haven't explained enough, and that's because since that's a terrible remake of the original on the NES, there wasn't really much to explain, so sorry if I don't explain enough on the Atari 2600 remakes, because otherwise, it'll just turn into a comparison entry. You guys know how much I'm not a fan of Donkey Kong, but at least I can see why people like it, and it is a great game even though I don't like it. Donkey Kong on the Atari 2600 is anything but. Same problems can be said from the Mario Bros. Entry. Ugly character designs, a background that looks like it was made in Windows Paint, and little to no music. Next! I've said it before and I will say it again. Medal of Honor European Assault is the most disappointing game I have ever played, and for a good flippin' reason. I've been wanting to play a Medal of Honor game ever since the disc switcheroo because I got a PS2 case of Medal of Honor Frontline, even though I wasn't a fan of shooters at the time. I was like, why not? But instead, Midnight Club 3 was in my case, and ever since that, I've been waiting for the day that I'll be able to play a Medal of Honor game. Luckily, my dad and brother had Medal of Honor European Assault on my PS2 and they let me borrow it for 2 weeks. I found the first mission to be good, but just like Brothers in Arms, the second mission is what made me turn off the game because I got so lost and couldn't figure out where to go. This is another one of those cases where my first impression of a franchise was so bad that it made me lose hope for all the other games in the series. Honestly, the game hasn't aged all that well, especially with the in-game character models, but the live action cinematics look well done, especially for a game released in 2005. The music is very unmemorable as well, just like with Brothers in Arms, but still, even though this is the most disappointing game I've ever played and even though I hate this game, I'm still glad I played it. It's kinda like with other games such as Kingdom Hearts where even though it may be disappointing or hated, you're still glad you played it. I know Medal of Honor isn't for everyone, especially due to the fact that it was made by EA, but at least give it a try if you're a fan of FPSs. You may like it, you may not, but you never know unless you try.
Sore eyes. Right! That's Sunday's back to hell!
I swear, this is the last negative game on here, but hey, at least Spyro Orange is the least worst of all the games I played this year. Now then, there are 2 reasons why I wanted to try this out despite knowing that it was a bad game. The first reason was that since I played Crash Bandicoot Purple, which will be on this list, I think it's appropriate to play this as well. And 2, I really wanted to get more into the Spyro series, and since I played 2 Spyro games, and since Spyro Orange is a game on the emulator that I played on, I decided to play it. And man, Categoras and Black Mage Maverick, you are right, because this game is downright awful. We all know that the stages are actually the hub world and the main game consists of minigames, but here's the thing. I hate every minigame in Spyro Orange. Most of the minigames consist of vehicle or flying sections that they take way too long to complete, spamming about 3 to 4 minutes each. Yeah, this is one game I completely agree with other people because while I don't hate it, only dislike it, Spyro Orange was monotonous, tedious, and literally boring. Don't expect for Crash Bandicoot Purple when we get to that entry.
I'm given the balance, but I'm standing on razor's edge now.